Hello, and welcome to another episode of More D&I Discussions, a series of conversations with C-suite executives who share their candid insight into many of the important aspects of creating and advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion principles and practices in their organizations. I am Marlon Moore, president of Marlon Moore Consulting, and thank you for joining us. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Mark Delahanty, the president and CEO of Bob Evans Farms, the leading producer and distributor of refrigerated potato and pasta-based side dishes and pork sausage and egg products. I appreciate you for taking time to join us. Mark, I like to start these discussions off with a very kind of simple question, and I've asked all of my guests this question. Why is diversity, equity, and inclusion important to you personally?
Sure. Well, it's important to me, I'll start first on a personal level and as a leader. I feel strongly that not only is advocating for a strong D&I strategy the right thing to do, but it really helps strengthen the culture and improve the overall company performance. As a company, we constantly demonstrate through both challenge and opportunity, of which there's been a lot in the last few years, that significant benefit comes through the diversity of thinking and diversity of approach. That thinking and approach comes from having those different diverse backgrounds and experience that need to be present in the organization and need to be heard in order to maximize the potential for the company.
That's excellent. I mean, I think you really, again, get to the core of why this work matters. How do we leverage diversity, equity, inclusion to build a good culture, an inclusive culture, driving performance? But more in particular, what I appreciate about what you're saying is just kind of going through your lived experiences, whether it's through your military background or other job environments where you recognize that focusing on this work makes you a better organization, makes us better people. And so you've incorporated that into the way you lead. So I think that's awesome.
Right.
So with all of that and your experiences, what do you see as some of the challenges? Oftentimes, we talk about the wins and the things that go well, but we don't really hear the deep insights into what individuals and leaders like yourself view or see as challenges for advancing.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a great question. I think, there are two challenges that come immediately to mind. I think the first one is understanding and acknowledging that the commitment to change, specifically in the D&I space, needs to start at the top. It needs to start with the leadership and specifically the leader of the organization. I think that's incredibly important if you're, seeking to make change and get traction of this magnitude. I think the other challenge is recognizing that while change takes time, and D&I is efforts are not just critical to the long term, but they have an immediate near-term effect on the health and I would say potential of your company. Meaning, you really need to approach it with a sense of urgency when it comes to making change, and then be prepared to stick with your practices, your policies, your structures, et cetera, that help aid in that over time.
That's a great point. Oftentimes, I've been in this space for a very long time. One of the things that I've heard come up, and I'm gonna put this question directly to you, Mark. Certain diverse talent is hard to find. Any thoughts about that notion?
I've experienced it. I've heard it. I've heard it in the past couple of years. I've heard it in recent months, and my conclusion or point of view on the matter and how I engage folks in this dialogue is that statement itself is a byproduct of a flawed system. I really see this, that statement that certain diverse talent is hard to find, stemming from the fact that we as hiring managers, developers of diverse talent have insufficient networks,
Mm,
poor recruiting tools, tools that may carry unconscious biases out into the communities that we're trying to reach. That as an organization, we don't have explicit programs or even a specific commitment stated around our DE&I programming. And it has, all of that collectively has that compounding effect of making that search for diverse talent harder. What I would say is diverse talent is hard to find if you don't know where to look and how to make your company attractive.
I think that's a very great point. And opening up our networks, right? We tend to network with people we know, we're comfortable with, but how do we put ourselves in position to meet new people?
Right.
And it's almost like the hiring process begins before you have an opening. That's powerful, Mark. I appreciate that and commend you for just modeling for all of us two inclusive behaviors, one which is humility, and then the other which is courage. So thank you, Mark, for all that you do to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization, in your community. Today, we've been joined by Mark Delahanty, President and CEO of Bob Evans Farms, who's really provided some really great insight into the importance of leveraging diversity, equity, and inclusion to drive performance, to become stronger together as an organization. And we so appreciate having you on today's More D&I Discussions episode. Thank you for listening. Marlin Moore Consulting is a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy development firm helping organizations build their diversity strategy by providing them with resources to support their execution. For more information, visit marlinmore.com. And remember, diversity starts with you.